The morning air was crisp as I pulled my truck up the gravel driveway of my new ranch, the tires crunching beneath me like popcorn in a fire, the mountains watching from a distance, tall and silent, their peaks capped with snow and their bases wrapped in pine, my heart steady, my mind calm. This was supposed to be peace, my peace, away from city noise, away from battles I'd already fought in uniforms and courtrooms, but I should have known peace rarely arrives without someone testing it. The house was old but sturdy. Red like tradition, the barn beside it still carried the scent of hay and old wood, and as I stepped out, boots planting firm on the ground, I breathed in the sharp smell of trees, dust, and something I hadn't felt in years. Home, a feeling, too often delayed, and yet here it was, rising in me like steam from morning coffee. But it didn't last long. Before I could even unload my boxers, a woman appeared, blonde helmet hair, green dress that screamed important, clipboard clutched like a judge's gavel, lips pursed as if the act of breathing my air offended her. She walked up fast, determined, as though my presence alone was a crime to be solved. "I'm Karen," she announced, like it was a title, not a name. Her voice clipped and precise. "Head of the HOA here at Whispering Pines Ranch Estates." Her eyes scanned me like a barcode scanner, top to boots, and paused just long enough on my veteran's cap to decide how to judge me. I nodded, tried to offer a smile, but she right on. "You've already violated 2 community guidelines," she said, flipping her clipboard dramatically. "1, your fence paint is not regulation shade, and 2, you have livestock without pre-approval." I blinked. "Ma'am," said slowly, calmly, "this is a working ranch. I have chickens, and a horse, and the fence is the same paint it's had for 50 years. She smirked. "Well, we modernized. If you'd read the HOA packet I left on your porch at 5 a.m., you'd know that rustic tones are forbidden now. Only sandstone whisper or urban bone are allowed. Yours looks barney." That's when I realized this wasn't going to be a conversation. This was a performance. She handed me a slip, already filled out, a $500 fine, issued before I'd even finished unpacking, her face gleaming with bureaucratic power. The kind of control people crave when they have none elsewhere. I told her, gently, that I wasn't paying the fine. Not now, not later, and that perhaps she was mistaken about the rules. Since my property was listed as agricultural use, not residential estate, which exempted me from certain codes. Her smile faded like fog and sun. "You'll regret this," she said, narrowing her eyes. "You people think rules don't apply to you." And she turned on her heel and stormed back across the field, her heels sinking into soft earth, making her wobble just a bit. I thought it was over. I thought maybe she'd go yell at her geraniums or send a passive-aggressive newsletter. But I was wrong. By lunch, the sheriff's department had arrived. Lights flashing not with urgency, but with ceremony, and 4 black-clad deputies stepped out. Hats straight, boots polished, hands on hips. Karen came trotting up beside them like she was leading a parade, smugness dripping off her like perfume, pointing at me and saying, "That's him. He threatened me. He's armed. He's resisting. HOA authority." I didn't move. One of the deputies approached, looking unsure, glancing at the paperwork Karen had shoved in his hands, then back at me. That's when the lead officer stepped forward, taller than the others, tan hat tilted low, face lined by sun and years. And as he stepped closer, I saw his eyes widen, then narrow, not with suspicion, but something else. Recognition. He stopped. "Captain Mc," he said. Karen's mouth fell open. I paused. "Yes," I said, not loudly, but with the weight of all the years behind it. The deputies stiffened, and like they'd rehearsed it, they saluted, one by one. The kind of salute you only give to a man who's earned it, not with rank, but with blood. And I returned it, slow and steady. Karen's face twisted, confusion mixing with panic, as if the script she'd written was suddenly in a foreign language. "You, ... You're military," she stammered. "Retired," I said. "Army captain, 25 years, 2 tours Iraq, 1 in Kandahar." The sheriff nodded, his voice calm now. "He's not violating anything," he said, flipping through the real county records on his tablet. "This property is agricultural, outside your HOA jurisdiction, and even if it weren't, you called us with a false report of a weapon. That's serious." Karen started to talk, fast, too fast, trying to explain how she was just concerned for neighborhood safety, but the words collapsed around her, like a house of cards in wind. The sheriff motioned to one of his deputies, who opened the back of the cruiser. Karen froze. "No, you can't. I'm the president of the You can't file false reports." "Karen," the sheriff said, tired now, like this wasn't his first HOA rodeo, "you tried to use us as your personal muscle." She was cuffed gently, but firmly, and she protested the whole time, her voice rising like steam from boiling water, shrill and broken. I stood there, not gloating, just still, as the chickens clucked softly around me, and the wind blew across the lake, soft and cold. The sheriff turned back to me. "Sorry about that, Captain," he said. "We'll be filing a report on her. You need anything? You let us know. You're more than welcome in this county." I nodded, Later that afternoon, a small crowd had gathered. Curious neighbors, quiet observers, folks who'd had their own run-ins with Karen, but had never been able to push back. One of them, a quiet man with a dusty hat and hands like leather, walked over and handed me a pie. "Welcome to the ranch," he said with a wink. "We've been waiting for someone like you." I thanked him, sat on my porch with coffee and pie, the sun dipping behind the trees, and I thought about how peace doesn't come easy, but sometimes it walks in when you stand your ground. Karen didn't return that week, or the week after, and the HOA board quietly replaced her. No vote needed, just a mutual decision that maybe her time had passed. Life on the ranch settled into rhythm, animals rising with the sun, neighbors waving as they drove by, a peace that pulsed under everything like a drumbeat, constant and sure. And every now and then, I'd see one of the deputies drive past, tip their hat, and keep going, like silent watchers in a story that had finally turned the right page. The table she once tried to find me over now held fresh eggs and morning coffee, and the horse she tried to ban trotted proudly through the fields, free as the land around him and me. I just smiled, every morning, every night, knowing that the only fine I'd pay now was the one for peace earned, not bought. Two-line call to action with channel name. If you love watching justice unfold like this, don't miss the next twist. Tap that like and drop your thoughts for more on QZ Stories, the home of true payback.